What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Cheers to Comics podcast. This time I've got a special episode for you. Once again, we got a creator corner here. Uh, indie comic that we reviewed not too long ago, The Music Maker, and with me is the writer and creator, SK Malveaux. How are you, SK?
I am doing fantastic.
Oh, that's good to hear. I'm so glad that we're finally getting together to do this. I wasn't sure if we were going to make it before the release of the comic, which we'll talk about all that later on. But the fact is I really enjoyed reading this, and my producer reviewed it as well with me because I know he's
Yeah,
he's a
I
bit of a
saw that.
music nerd. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, Mason's not here with me today. We're actually, believe it or not, it's snowing outside here in
Oh
Denver.
joy.
So
Oh joy.
yeah. Yeah, so I'm no reason to have him drive around, so it's just me and you, SK. So let's get this thing going. I want you to, well, first off, tell me a little bit about yourself. Like what got you into comics? What made you decide to do comics, particularly a music comic? So, I mean, what were
um,
you reading?
the idea of a music comic, literally, it became a possibility literally 6 months ago, and that's the funny part about it is that the idea of doing writing for a comic um was about 5 years in the making, but the actual idea of, hey, we can actually, we might be able to actually add music that people can listen to while they're reading it. Yeah, that was like, it was literally 6 months ago that that idea came into being. I've, I've, I've been a comic nerd for about as long as I can remember, like even before I could even read an actual comic. I was still a big fan of, like, the after school cartoons of like X-Men and Spider-Man, and then even the Tick and the Mask. Um yeah, it just um honestly, it was always there. It was always there, but it never became something that I was actually going to pursue in my professional life until like literally 2 years ago. So, yeah, it's kind of funny the way life works out, because I went to school for visual arts, so I knew like the ins and outs, and then I got a minor in theater. So naturally, of course, comics seemed like the easy way to go. But I know, right? Um, no, the funny thing about it is that whenever I was working in theater, I was doing playwriting, was what I was doing in theater. A little bit of acting, a little bit of mostly playwriting, and that turned out to be my best. That turned out to be my best training for writing for comics, because it got me used to knowing that what I wrote down on the page 95% of the time never ended up exactly as it was in the final product. So yeah, that was, I mean, it got me used to collaborating on a big scale.
Gotcha.
So yeah, yeah, yeah. And yeah, but honestly, like the idea of actually getting to do something that is fun professionally was was was.
That's the dream.
Yeah, it's the dream, but I mean it doesn't normally happen. Like,
No.
you don't expect to get like you don't expect to actually do professional writing, never mind professional comic writing, and do that as like your, as like your job. It just didn't seem possible and everything until about 2 years ago, and then I was like, you know what? All right, let's give this a try, and yeah, and so far, knock on wood, it's actually worked out.
I love hearing that. It is because this is comic books are it's an extremely different and difficult industry to break into,
It
especially as
really
an
is.
independent. I mean,
Yeah,
it's you
and
got to have a niche, and I will say that you have something that I find to be very unique, and that's actually adding digital digital barcodes into your pages to where you could listen to the ambience of whatever the hell's going on based off of particular artists that you decided to bring in and feature. So you're at the same time you're also promoting another creator, which is, I mean, that's what I'm all about. I love it. That's part of the reason why we're doing this interview, to be honest. It's
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
right,
And that was a big part of it was I knew a lot about specifically Pittsburgh underground music that and I still do. That um getting the opportunity to get and it's in a terrible way, it's like getting to cozy up to you know, artists that I think are particularly really talented and things like that, as well as, friends who I've known. Um, yeah, it is a great opportunity to not only promote music that I think is really fantastic, but also get to get to know like the artists that I think are really fantastic as well. So, well, I mean, give you an example, like, issue 3 of our comic, which hasn't even gone into illustration yet. It's just in, um, the, what do I was, it's the script writing.
right. I just send the
Yeah, yeah,
beats.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, we feature Jenny Darren, who is probably probably I want to say most famous for Britain's Got Talent. But if you Google Jane Darren, Britain's Got Talent, you're gonna see a picture of her and everything.
Oh, she's
But
gone viral with, I mean, she's one of those people where,
yeah,
like, you'll never, one of those typical headlines, not necessarily typical, but the headline, you'll never believe what comes out of this, and you click on it, and
right,
that's exactly, I
right.
mean, right.
Yeah, exactly. And she's actually with us on our issue 3. For issue 2, we have a very nice like local band called Drop the Act, and they're just so phenomenally talented. And I've known the uh at least 2 of the creators of that band for quite some time, but giving the chance to given the chance to actually promote this kind of work, beyond just the internet, um, beyond just like a certain section that, listens to this music, has been really like it's been really phenomenal, and I've absolutely loved it. And I love the fact that I get to cozy up to a lot of the musicians and artists that I really love.
That's double win right there. So that kind of brings
Right?
me to my next question. I mean, I mean, you got a comic based off of music. What type of music inspires you? Like, what, like when you're pushing this book, obviously you've got I mean, a bunch of various different sounds coming out
Oh yeah.
here.
Oh yeah,
So, I
definitely.
mean, that you're not completely biased with we only do this type of sound, but I mean, as the writer, what are you listening to? Like,
What I,
what?
well, what I'm listening to, like me personally, is it's a lot of rock. It's a lot of rock. It's a lot of dirty grunge kind
That's
of.
totally the vibe that I'm getting reading this comic too. So
Yeah,
that's more of
yeah.
the type of music that I gravitate towards. So part of the reason, once again, it's just, I mean, I'm definitely the biased one in this one because it's just the style, everything about it just says this. Why don't I can't hear this Actually, you literally can hear this comic. If you were to just read it,
Yeah.
if you were to
um,
just read it, I get a punk rock, grimy, grungy, dirty, definite rock and roll type of vibe to it though. And
and
that's
that's definitely the vibe of the story. We don't rule out anything, honestly. Like, we don't rule out rap, we don't rule out country, we don't rule out anything. But like, as the main flow of the story goes, I mean, it's like it's rock. It's rock, it's punk rock, it's grunge rock. It is, kind of dirty, heavy stuff. And that is the first and foremost of the comic itself. But like I said, what this whole idea was about was, I mean, partially about, at least. I can't say it was solely about this, but was getting unknown artists, um, you know, giving them this kind of exposure to this very distinctive market that we've got going on here, and giving them the opportunity to build more fans and build more fans for really great music. So yeah, I mean, yeah. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, it definitely doesn't seem like you're willing to just put anybody in here. You're clearly
Well,
you're clearly trying. You're making sure you're putting out the right people.
we are putting out quality at the very least. We are putting out, like, we're not gonna just put some guy who's, like, strumming in his bathroom. We're not. That's not gonna happen. Um,
Right.
it'll be. I mean, maybe it's a really great bathroom. Maybe it's a really great artist. But
Yeah, maybe he deserves his chance, but at the same time, you can only put out so many issues to support so
yeah.
many artists. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. No, like, we are open to a variety of genres, so that is really good. But if you had to come down to, like, what it's about, like, bare bones, yeah, it's like, it's grunge, it's pop, it's punk, it is the stuff that you're not going to be able to hear on your radio at the very
Right.
end of the day. Yeah,
Well, that's definitely
exactly.
something that I appreciate because I'm not the type of person that turns on a radio. So I, yeah, no, I really, that's once again something that I very much enjoyed about this. This does not seem like you're going to be pumping any Taylor Swift into this comic anytime.
No, and we're not gonna have any Taylor Swift. We're not. I mean,
I just lost all my
I.
Taylor Swift followers. It's all right. I'm okay with that. I think that was only one.
um, you lost your one follower.
I lost.
Um, no, and we're not gonna have any Nicki Minaj. We're not gonna have, like, but we don't exclude work that is within those genres. I mean, it's not very likely, but I mean, we don't exclude the kind of, we're not gonna do mainstream stuff.
That's yeah,
Period. Yeah,
exactly.
yeah, exactly. So I mean, at the end of the day, and the simple fact of the matter is, those kind of artists don't, and I am calling them artists. Because, um, they don't need us. They don't need us. They don't want us. They don't. There's no reason we have to connect with those. But I
Right.
mean, but as far as, like, the underground stuff, the local stuff, like, that's what we kind of want to bring to the forefront. And also, I mean, that kind of stuff is akin to what we're writing about as well.
Well,
So
let's
I
talk
mean,
about what you're
yeah.
writing about, actually. We reviewed the first issue, but we did it with very little details to not give away the story because the book isn't
Yeah.
out yet. We haven't even, you
Yeah.
guys haven't released issue one yet. So,
Till the 11th. Yeah.
so
Yeah.
from the words of the creator herself,
Yeah.
how would give us a basic synopsis of what issue one, what we could expect in issue one, but because you could do it in better words than mine, that's for damn sure. Um,
Well,
and get
thank you.
us, well, I would imagine so, and a rundown of the characters, what to expect as far as an overall series. So yeah, just let us have it.
One thing about the series itself is that, and honestly, we did not know what genre we were going into it. We knew the story that we were telling, but we didn't know, like, okay, well, how's this fit into, like, a little, category. Um, it's it is a punk rock story told in the vein of a noir thriller, if that makes any sense.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, so I mean, the story itself is, okay. We're looking after the Green Man, um, which is our main villain for at least the first 5 issues. We are debating whether, I mean, we're hoping to go on to like another 5, but we're just like, structuring it so that we are going to, okay, 5 issues, okay, another 5 issues, okay, we got that.
Oh, that's a smart way to go. Volumes.
Yeah, I
That's the
mean,
way to do it.
yeah,
Put it out in
I
volumes.
mean, and it's cohesive to all of the artists involved, as far as the illustrator and the writer, yours truly, are concerned. But yeah, what it is it's a noir thriller set to music. If you wanted to get it like down to its bare roots. Um, yeah.
Well, it sounds like I mean, that would be enough to draw me in. I mean, and really, if you were to just open this book up, I kind of want to touch on something that I found very, very intriguing. That was the art style itself. That kind of really definitely gives the rock and roll vibe, which once again attracts me.
Yeah, and it is definitely brilliant. Like that is Andres Casada.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's our artist, at least for, like I said, the first 5, and then we are going to continue on with that. But yeah, the way he draws,
It's so reminiscent of one of my favorite books of all time is Transmetropolitan, and Derek Robertson is the artist in that. And immediately, that's exactly what it reminded me of. It's absolutely amazing. I love this art style so much. I think you should talk him into doing the next volume too.
and that is hopefully the theme that is going to continue on. No, I absolutely loved whenever you talked about that, as well as what was it? Robert Stedman?
Oh, Ralph Steadman, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
Ralph Steadman. I
absolutely.
wanted to say it was Robert Stedman, but I was like, I don't think that's his first name. Anyway, but yeah, no, yeah. Whenever I was hunting around for, which I had this idea in my head, and I was like, okay, we gotta get someone to illustrate this, literally. And I probably shouldn't even say this, but I found him via DeviantArt.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Well, you gotta do
Anyway,
what you gotta do. I mean.
but but no, the beautiful thing is that I found him via DeviantArt, and then literally the only thing I said was not safe for work, kind of stuff that we were doing. That was pretty much the only thing. Not safe for work, and we're kind of going for an Aeon Flux kind of look. And he comes back with this stuff, and I'm like, oh my god! Like, I didn't even know that this was what I wanted to see. It was that incredible.
It's it's such a cool
Yeah.
style, and the fact that it's done with no color. Because personally,
Right?
what attracts me in art is actually I'm a colored person. I really am. So for me to
So
praise
am
art
I.
as much as I do I don't read The Walking Dead because there's no goddamn color. Like it's one of the most popular comic books of all time. There's no color. I don't read it. Sorry. But here I am reading Music Maker with no color. But I'm gonna go ahead and say it. This art surpasses. I mean, and I
really
said
does.
it's
It really
incredible.
does. It really does, and he does something remarkable and amazing, and like I cannot like trump him up like enough, because it really is it is remarkable. And then we added color to it, and it was like, oh my god, like
And that
all
was
the
the beautiful thing for me because
yeah.
I'm scrolling through and I'm like, you know what? I could totally dig a black and white book. I could dig it. And then all of a sudden we get Wizard of Oz, and I the Duke of Color too. A
Yeah,
lot of people
yeah.
choose not to do color because if it's a lot of people use it as a cop out. I do black and white because it's
Yeah,
faster. I don't like coloring.
yeah.
When deep down they really just can't color. They couldn't find a color. This the opposite. This is surprise, bitches. Here you go. I could do it all. This is amazing. And
Yeah,
ah,
and that's one of the beautiful things that we have as an aspect of the comic, is that we're not going to do that every issue. We are going to do it. It's going to be one of those things like, you gotta put in your time. You gotta put in your hours. You gotta like actually read along, and then, oh, by the way, hey, here's something that can be in color, and then yeah, and that's one of the beautiful things. Like issue two, I probably shouldn't even be saying this, but issue two.
Are we getting the exclusive?
Yeah, we are getting the exclusive.
All right.
Issue two may or may not have color. Anyway,
Oh, okay.
anyway, it may or may not have color. But the point is that yeah, the biggest thing about it is that yeah, that you have this beautiful artwork that is remarkable, which is details, and it just, and he does it so quick. I'm like I said, I cannot sing his praises enough.
The master is what it comes down to.
He really is. Like, I mean, I was writing, I was doing my little writing thing, and then he like made it a possibility. But anyway, so yeah, we do have the incredibly detailed artwork, but you never know when the color is going to come into it, and it only comes into it it's um whenever it is sufficient to the story, so to
Right.
speak. Yeah. So yeah, like I like I said, I cannot sing his praises enough, because without this artwork, the story would have gone along. It would have been decent at the very least. But with his artwork, it just amplifies, especially the Maestro character. It really makes him so much more of a bastard that he is.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so yeah. I mean, it's one of those things that you get really lucky on, and he is the incredible artist that he is. So yeah, I mean,
No, it seems like it matches the storytelling tone too. It's not just
yeah,
you're
exactly.
a writer that just so happened to find an amazing artist and you lucked out. No, it just so happens
No,
you're a
it
writer with an
clicked.
awesome story that just so happened to find an amazing artist that had the perfect style to go along with your story.
And,
So it
and
makes it
that
even
is
more of an awesome story.
and that is one of the beautiful things about his illustration. And I swear I will get into other stuff about the story in a second, but I gotta like sing his praises a little bit more.
Sure.
um no, but I mean, I give him maybe what, two or three, maybe four um directions that I want the art to go in, and he gives me that plus like I don't know, six or seven more. And it is remarkable that he's able to. I mean, the fact that we just worked so well together is remarkable. That the story and that the artwork, gels so incredibly, and that yeah, like I said, I give him like a few directions, and he gives me that plus more is remarkable.
Oh yeah, I'm very, very, very excited to see just more of the visuals, all of it. Absolutely. Well, I kind of want to talk about the character a little bit, our main
Yeah,
characters at least.
yeah,
It
yeah.
says right off I really enjoy. I love when a book just tells you who we're supposed to follow right off the beginning. And I mean, it makes it easy for new readers to, okay, because there's always going to be extras on the page, and you
Yeah,
just gotta make sure you want to know who to follow.
yeah,
And
exactly.
I enjoy how you start out the whole saga of the Music Maker with, all right, these are your folks right here.
Yeah, and honestly, that actually came out of the fact that one of my beta readers let me know that I was like, okay, okay, who's this? They seem like they're important, but okay, who's this?
That's what beta readers
And,
are for.
exactly, and I was like, oh shit, um, we didn't we didn't tell you who and no one is saying who they are, and it's like, oh, damn.
Got
Okay. Let's rethink this. Okay.
Well,
Um.
and you have two choices there. You could either put in a page just like you do here, or you add in 15 more pages giving a backstory to all of these people,
Right.
and
Right.
you
And right.
destroy your artist.
And
And
and the problem is that some of them don't quite merit it. You know, like
exactly.
there will be an Adele Walker um backstory at some point. But it's not going to be in these first five. So, because this is our, Arjita, our maestro. Um, this is his opening, so to speak, and he's got a big opening because he's a very big personality. So, yeah, it was, yeah, it was one of those things that they're like, okay, well, okay, I like this character, I don't like this character, okay, but who are they? And yeah, and so I was like, okay, well, we gotta like clarify things. We gotta like, get to the point. And okay, here's our main hero, uh, slash hero slash anti-hero, actually. And then here are our bit players, so to speak. And yeah, like that was one of the reasons that we had to like, open up and say, okay, here's so and so, here's so and so, here's so and so. And here's the plot that they play, because you don't always hear someone saying, "Hey, you are," you know.
Right, and I mean,
Yeah,
and when you do
exactly.
it that way, it just makes for really, it's not
Yeah.
great storytelling, to be honest. It seems very
Yeah, yeah,
amateur.
yeah.
So,
Yeah,
and once
yeah.
again, it comes down to, do I add in a whole bunch of pages that people aren't necessarily going to, I mean, when
Read.
only technically a few of the dialogue bubbles are really all that's necessary, or do I
Yeah.
just add this in and just say these who the fuck that's
Yeah.
who these people are? And
Exactly.
I think you went the right route. A
Yeah.
lot of people don't always want to read a 40-page comic, you know. I enjoy
Yeah.
a good 20-page issue, and
Yeah.
that's yeah.
And that's what we were trying to do. Like, we are trying to get to, and we don't have any, we are getting more specific about the pages that are you should expect from each issue. We are doing that. But, like initially it was like, the gloves are off. We can do as much as we want. We can do as little as we want. But, yeah, we didn't want to bog down the reader with like, oh, by the way, hey, I know you. You're so and so and blah 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 blah, and we didn't want to do that because it seemed like it was a waste of time and space.
Uh,
So,
And
yeah.
that's the type of reading that attracts me. You know, there's some brilliant writers out there that are great at telling a whole story where there's actually like Grant Morrison. You know, you can go out there. There's more dialogue than there is art, and it's a brilliant story. But me, that's not why I read comics. I read comics because honestly, I don't like to read. But I still enjoy a
the
good
point
story.
the point is you can admit that about yourself, and that's what makes it all okay.
Yeah,
So,
but I still enjoy a good story, and comic books are the perfect way to do that with not as much reading. And that's
yeah.
how I decipher what type of books I'm
No,
reading.
no, the way you get past that, you say, I want reading, but I want it with art. So that's
Exactly.
how yeah, exactly. Right there. You
Right.
know?
So for all those other people out there that don't like to read, pick up a fucking comic
Yeah.
book, you know? And this is a great one to pick up, just because it's told in a manner to what you all the dialogue is very. I mean, the dialogue is. I'm not saying dialogue is a bad thing. I'm not saying all comic book needs to
No.
be 100%
No.
visual. But that to me, uh, dialogue or writing a comic is so much more than actual the dialogue bubbles itself, because you still have to map out the beats for the
And
artist.
it is a small nightmare. Like whenever, like I said, I went into playwriting, And, you have to, like, take all that stuff into account whenever you're writing. It's like, it's not just the dialogue. It's not just the exposition. It
It's setting
is,
up the scene. It's setting up the shot. Like you have to. It's
yeah,
directing. Is what it is. You are more than a writer.
really,
You're also directing it because if the
exactly.
panel shot, if you say okay, so and so is going to say this, but the artist decides to give a weird angled shot that doesn't deliver the
Right.
proper tone, then that's on the writer for not
Mhm.
delivering that. So
Mhm.
once again, I just gotta say, just because I don't necessarily like to read doesn't mean I don't appreciate the writing aspect of it all. So I do gotta clarify that.
No, and it's the truth. It's like whenever you're writing, like I said, that style of writing primed me for writing in comics because you don't know how it's going to turn out. You don't know, like, what you're leaving out. You don't know what you're saying. And at the end of the day, you ultimately do not have the final say in that. But it's not a bad thing. It's almost like waking up on Christmas. You wake up to, like, oh wow, look at all this stuff that I didn't even know I wanted. And that's what's amazing about it.
Mhm.
So
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, what else was I gonna say? I don't know. I'm gonna let you ask a question or something.
Gotcha. Well, I will say one other thing, and this is probably gonna sound incriminating on my end, and it's
Oh
just
Lord.
something about storytelling that I really enjoy, and there's clearly a
Yeah.
drug aspect to this.
Oh hell yeah.
I like how you I like how you came back like that. Oh hell yeah, there's drugs. There's drugs.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Well, I
yeah.
mean the story ends, and without
It
giving
ends with
anything
a
away, there's
yeah,
drugs.
yeah. There is drugs. That is oh my gosh. That is one of the things that we've had to fight against and fight for. Oddly enough. Um,
You mean
yeah.
between you and the writer, or I mean you and the
Oh no,
artist? Or?
no, 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 not me and the artist, but me and the musical talent.
Oh,
That is,
really? They didn't want to be involved
yeah, yeah,
in the drug aspect.
yeah,
Okay, I can
yeah.
see that.
Because I mean, and it's understandable because we are very much. I mean, one of the biggest issues that we've had to face is not necessarily writing quality so much as it is the subject matter. And it's been an issue as to why we can't really, go with a traditional publisher because a lot of what we write, well, I mean, what I write and what is illustrated, deals with a lot of, I mean, if you want an argument for like why comic books are like, not just for kids, like we are it.
Oh, absolutely. And
Yeah, yeah,
that's
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, and we're dealing with drug addiction, sex addiction. We're dealing with in later issues I can't get into it, but death, poverty, blah 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 blah. We're dealing with a lot of like heavy kind of stuff. And the issue has been ironically, one is the swearing, which I find hilarious to me.
What?
Yes, yes. I mean, of all the things that we deal with, like you can deal with certain subject matter, but you cannot deal with swearing. In
Hmm.
some, I know. It's like one of those things where I'm like, what? Seriously, he's hooked on heroin. What? Anyway, but yeah.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where like the subject matter has been something that we've had to be mindful of. It's an independent comic, so we don't really have any really perimeters to work around. But that being said, if we did want to go with a publisher, we would have to work around certain, like, edits, certain, you know, certain parameters.
Well, that's
Um,
the sad thing about the mainstream,
yeah,
and this is why I
yeah,
particularly choose to push indie comics because I actually
right,
I believe that everybody should self-publish just so there is no limitations on creativity.
right,
Because if
right.
this story would go down at all, we might not be having this conversation, you know?
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly. You
I
wouldn't
wouldn't
be
say that
having
that for sure, but we don't know. You know,
you
it'd be a
wouldn't
whole
be
different thing.
having you wouldn't be having nearly the quality, and you wouldn't be having nearly the impact, so to speak, that the comic actually has. And that's one of the beautiful things about the Music Maker is that, it is talking about things that and I mean, and it's a heightened reality, admittedly, but it's talking about, like, it's talking about drug addiction, it's talking about, death, it's talking about I'm trying to think of, like, what else we can actually say that's in the first issue. Um, but yeah, it's talking about a lot of things that, don't get talked about in mainstream media. And that's kind of like, and it can be problematic in a sense, but yeah, like, yeah, I mean, and to cut those things out of the story, it takes a lot of the story out of it, in a sense.
Oh no,
So,
absolutely. I mean, I
oh
feel
yeah,
like that. I really feel that the premise of the story is pushing shit's going on in the world that the media doesn't want you to know about. This is what the hell's
right,
happening.
right,
Here's a story about it.
and
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 yeah,
and
yeah. Go
and
ahead.
yeah, oh, sorry. And yeah, and one of the beautiful things about the Music Maker in particular is the fact that we're able to play around with these concepts, and we're not held to any higher standard, that we don't have to be super realistic about them either. So, yeah, I mean, like I said, it's one of those things. It's one of those things you have to worry about, and you know, the whole drug aspect of it is, I mean, it's definitely there. But, what do I want to say? Um,
It's not necessarily. I mean, I'm not. I'm just grasping here, but it's not necessarily the main premise of the story in itself.
no,
Isn't the drugs? It's
it really isn't. It's just, it's like, it's an aspect of it. It's not,
it seems
but,
like it's just mostly about inner demons is what it comes down to after reading the first
right,
issue and
right,
dealing with the death and the loss, and it just so happens that drugs are a part of this as well. It really just comes down to
exactly.
dealing with one's inner demons yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. I mean that's hitting the nail on the head right there. Um but yeah, like, and you do need to actually be, you need the room to hash that out. You can't just, like, okay, well, we're gonna just, sweep it under the rug, okay, he's got drug addiction, okay, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, you do need the room to hash that out, and you don't always get that room, so to speak.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
If anything, it's in the first issue, the addiction is actually just a small catalyst to lead to what seems to be the bigger issue of what's going on.
It really is. It really is. And I love that the fact that you were able to pick up on that, because we were kind of like, we were a little worried at certain points that it's like, okay, well, I even spoke to some of my beta readers about it, and I was like, okay, we're not promoting drugs, are we? Yeah, and they're like, no, no, I'm gonna give something away, but it's like, okay,
It's still a
drugs.
problem. It's not being glorified.
Yeah,
It's showing
it's
that it
not
is a problem.
exactly. Okay, thank you.
Gotcha. I read the
um,
comic, I promise.
yeah. um, but yeah, it's like, yeah, that I was speaking to someone. It was one of my beta readers, but I can't remember which. And I feel like an awful person for not remembering which. But anyway, so they were saying, they were talking about Mad Men, and about this one episode of Mad Men that like, they were playing with this box, and every time they opened the box, music came out, and it was because they were screwed up on acid, that they were like hearing music every time they opened this box, and I was like, okay, but that's not what we're going for here. We're really not, and then someone else chimed in, and they said, okay, drug overdose, um, getting imprisoned because of this, and yeah, I don't think you're glorifying it. I think you're being honest. And I was like, okay, cool, good to
Right
know.
on.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But
Yeah, well, like I said, I feel the same way. I mean, it doesn't seem glorified at all. When drug use is going on, it's not a thrilling situation. It's always in a bleak manner.
it
It's
really
not a
is.
party scene. It's not like they're in a rave popping. This is a shit sucks right now. Better go to drugs, and showing
and
how
that
that
is
doesn't necessarily work out.
and that is
So
and that is amazing that you caught that just from the first issue, because that is like a pervasive theme throughout the five anyway. That, yeah, he's not getting messed up because he's having a good time. He's getting messed up because he doesn't have a way out, is the
right,
biggest thing. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. Nice. Well, okay. I'm glad. Well, I feel better for touching. At least I know. I gotta. Yeah. Right on. I got it right. I got it right. It's always hard to know for sure, but
Yeah.
once again, it's just good storytelling, and
Thank you.
well, yeah. I, I'm so excited. This is a thing. I really am glad you reached out. This has been. Though I'm not gonna lie. During the whole time you were talking, I'm going through and I'm reading the comic again digitally. So
Yeah.
I could say I've probably read it about 5 times now,
I
and
love it.
I like it
Thank you.
as much every time. I catch more and more every time, and
Thank you.
there's so much going on in every panel visually that you can't. I mean, if I
Yeah.
were to really stop, if you were to try to read this and appreciate this book in all of its glory through a first time passing, it'd probably take about an hour and a half, just
Yeah,
because of yeah,
really.
it has to be read several times, and I mean that in a good
Hmm.
way. So yeah, no,
Yeah.
it's
And I'm gonna say, just to give my illustrator proper props. Andres Quesada. It's under the Q Method on Facebook, and check him out because he is incredible, and you know this. So yeah.
yes, yes. Absolutely. Oh, so where are we? This book, like I said, it hasn't launched yet. You said May 11th. We're actually getting an official launch of
May
issue number one.
May 11th is going to be whenever people can get the physical version of the comic, and whenever the digital version will be officially available through Comic Central, Crypto Comics, and possibly Comixology. I'm not
Nice.
entirely sure about that. Yeah, and
Well, I'm
then
sure if you
and
submit it,
yeah,
they'll accept it.
yeah, I'm
Pretty
hoping.
good. It's a
I'm
good
hoping.
comic.
I'm hoping so. I'm hoping so, and then maybe like I said, Amazon. It might happen, but it might happen like after that date, well after that date. So yeah,
Gotcha. Well, we're
yeah,
definitely gonna. I mean, I'm hoping that you keep us posted. We're gonna stay connected for sure. As far as I want to know when issue two is coming out, so I'm
damn
following.
right,
So,
damn right.
as the information comes out, we're gonna share it on our end too to make sure all of our listeners have know where to get it. We're gonna post all the links and everything in the descriptions properly as all of this is released and announced. And yeah, no, I'm excited that I got to read it before the population, and I can't wait till the physical copy is available because I would hope that maybe I can get some signatures sent out and
Oh,
could be displayed
definitely.
on the wall. I'm just reaching live, so I'm putting you on the spot. I want it because I like it.
Hinty, hint, 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 hint.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. All right. Yeah. I mean, it sounds good. And hey, I'm glad you enjoyed it as much as you did. So yeah, good
No,
stuff.
I'm I'm honored to review it and get to talk to the creators. Do you have a way that fans could reach out to you? Do you have a Twitter or a Facebook or any of that?
I
I know you got
have,
a Twitter.
yeah, I do have, yeah, I definitely have a Twitter. I have a, well, of all places. Anyway, I have Music Maker Comics, comics with an X, not a C, .com. I can get, people can just like, you know, get a hold of me via that, so it should be good.
Sweet. Awesome. All right. Well, once again, everybody, this was S.K. Malveaux, the co-creator of The Music Maker. And May 11th, it's dropping. Stay tuned with us. We're going to keep you in tune. And thank you all so much for listening. Thank you, SK. Hope I hope
Likewise,
you enjoyed this time as much as I did. I love
I
nerding
definitely
out.
did.
Yeah, this was awesome. Well, readers, read responsibly. Thank you so much for joining us all, and cheers.